back at WNST, Tassel, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. We are positively down at Fadley's in Lexington Market. I am giving away Maryland scratch-offs for the Maryland Lottery. Folks coming in here, and I got a handful to give away. I think Roz might step in here and surprise me before it's all over, before noon, from the Maryland Lottery. We're scratching them off, sending people away. Don't forget your second chance prize, chance to go to Jacksonville, and a chance to win a whole lot of money and show up on the field throwing footballs and making a fool of yourself or earning some cash. Either way, it's fun. It's Raven season. It's the Maryland Lottery. Our friends at Goodwill and the XL Center and Halloween and my Aladdin Sane Ziggy Stardust kind of gig that I'm going to be doing for the Halloween party on the 29th down at the Science Center, and our friends at Window Nation. You buy two, you get two free. 866-90-NATION. Some people say I don't hang out with Republicans. Leonard Raskin would tell you that's not true. A lot of my Republican friends would tell you that. I don't want to say you're my favorite Republican because I already told Michael Steele that, and he's out of the game now. But Barry Glassman's among, and a friend, a true friend, wearing his Purple Friday down here in the city. Harford County executive running for Comptroller in the state of Maryland. Brooke Learman's going to join us next week up at Gunpowder Lodge. I'm taking her your way, taking you her way, trying to play right down the middle for everybody. Tell everybody what you're doing in the city today, because you used to come to Fadley's. You worked down here, right?
I did. I mean, when you called me and said, can you come down to Fadley's, I knew right away. I had a small window in my calendar. Number one, I'm coming down to pick up my bib.
I thought there was no chance of you coming.
For the
like
running
when I
festival.
hit you, I'm like, there's no chance of him coming on Friday. He's in election season, right?
But I got to pick up my bib for the run in the morning, and your timing was just perfect. And, most folks know I retired from Baltimore Gas and Electric about after 25 years, about 8 years ago when I got elected county executive. So we always came to Fadley's on payday, and we only got paid twice a month. I can remember in the early years when I first got married, I'd have to save up because it was kind of a splurge for lunch for me, and it was a great tradition, and it felt
so
good.
You come from some humble. I was thinking you as a farmer from Harford County, as I see.
Well, farming's a hard living, man. We don't make a lot of money, but
it sounds so romantic. It sounds like being a cowboy until you watch the movies about what it really took to be a cowboy, right?
And most farmers have to work a second job nowadays, so I was no different. I had to get a job. My dad always worked on the side selling firewood and putting in furnaces to get by. But coming in today, the tables are the same. It smells and feels the same.
Tastes the same?
Yeah, oh my goodness. And
how long it's been for you? You've had 100 Fadley's crab cakes in your life. You just haven't had one lately.
But it's been about 6 years since I was down.
Well, look, man, you're running
I've been busy.
Right. I give you
and the pandemic, 2 years is a blur, and so it's just good to be here. I'm looking forward to running through town tomorrow and just enjoying myself. It's nice to be able to campaign a little bit, but also enjoy yourself, get to see some old friends, and I love that run right back downtown and finishing up down
10K
Old
you're doing?
Pratt Street.
You're not doing 26?
10K, yeah.
All
10K.
Right. So
I'm 60, so I downgraded from the half marathon.
Was there ever a point where you haven't been running or in shape, or do you have to ramp up for this? Are you a treadmill every couple, are you out on the street?
No treadmills.
No treadmill, okay.
Country roads.
Country roads, okay, always.
And so Susquehanna 10K was 2 weeks ago, so I ran across the Susquehanna River in Havre de Grace, and been doing 5Ks, and so I'm in shape. 6 miles is not too bad for me.
It's a nice run for you.
And it's going to be beautiful.
It's going to be unbelievable. Yep. You're running as a state representative, right? And I could kid you and say, why haven't you been down in the city? Yeah, you're running Harford County. You're always good to me. When I reach to you, we always make time together. Tell me about this campaign, because I haven't met anybody who thinks you can win. And I know you think you can win. You're here. So, and we talk. Tom Cole and I were talking swing voters. We've talked about who's going to vote for West, who's going to vote, who's not. The marijuana on the issue. We talked Mizzier, which is a big part of your district.
Right.
I was up in Harford County last week.
I walked across that stage. That was our senior auditorium in Havre de Grace.
Star Theater.
Yep, right. It was and the county, I gave that to the city of Havre de Grace to use as an art center, but that's where our commencements were. The high school used to be across the street.
It was acoustically beautiful. Like, Melissa Etheridge played, and I sat in. I was third row in the back. I just bought some back tickets.
It needs some work. We've got some grants rolling for some additional work. It's just really
I'm glad I'm talking to you about that, even though it's it's the other side of the ticket for you. Yeah. But I'm up there with people in that facility. The folks from is it McGregor's, right? Catered it and brought some booze in. I had a beer, and it was. But more than that, that facility, I thought, man, I would drive here any time to see a band that would play in front of 1,500 people in that. And maybe there's a vision for that there. Because it sounded that way when Heather got up and talked about her work with the mayor of Havre de Grace and them working together to put on an event, any event.
Right, and we had, I think, the opening act a couple of months ago was the top premier national act, the Queen Reenactment Band, tribute band.
Almost Queen.
Yeah. We had them there a couple of months ago when it first opened, and so it's a great site. And what we did is worked out an agreement where the county, I took it back from the Board of Education and then gave it to the city of Havre de Grace because it would have been such a waste to tear it down. To the left of that is the old gymnasium, but it would have been such a waste. So it's a way to repurpose and use it for something else.
Well, it got me to Havre de Grace the other night. I had a great experience. If you build it, I'll come.
Right.
It's
a great spot.
You're about to hand the torch off, and there'll be a different Harford County. You made this decision to get in the race, to run, obviously clear path in a primary. What's the last couple months look like for you? Not just for Harford County, but for Barry Glassman as candidate in a tough race. It's a tough race.
It was a tough race when we got into it. And, just my record in Harford County, and quite frankly, I'm the last candidate out of the 6 remaining candidates that has ran a local government, balanced a multi-billion-dollar budget, ran a local pension system. So I still feel like I'm the most qualified candidate, and Comptroller feels like the right fit for me. Things have changed somewhat since the primary. I think, I was looking forward to running on a moderate ticket with Kelly Schultz and being able to really have a coordinated campaign with the rest of the ticket. As you know, the day after the primary, I kind of had to split off in a more independent fashion and really been running this race on our own for the last couple of months since the primary. We still think there's a path, a moderate path, and for independents.
Well, Larry Hogan got voted, right?
In the Goucher poll, we win with independent voters. It's a matter of attracting enough Democrats that want a one-party check in Annapolis. If we don't have one Republican, a moderate Republican down there, we're going to have one-party control. And so it really boils down, are those voters going to split their ticket and support a moderate check on one-party government? And we're finding a lane there. There are a lot of voters on both sides that believe that believe split government with Governor Hogan has worked, and that I've got the right temperament and really the experience to do that. So it's tough. I'm not telling you it's not tough, but we have a lane, and it's easy for me because that's the way I've always kind of operated as a nonpartisan. The job is really nonpartisan, and so.
Oh, I know Democrats in Harford County, and I know Republicans in Harford County.
So we've been able to find that lane since the primary, and I think we've got enough money. We rolled out a commercial today with Governor Hogan that we're going to start running this weekend and in the last couple of weeks here. So we're going to finish out strong, and it really will depend on how those ticket splitters that traditionally have maybe voted for Governor Hogan or at least voted for one Republican when they go down the line. And so we still think we've got a shot at winning this.
Barry Glassman is here. He's Harford County Executive. We're in Baltimore City right now. He is a candidate on the Republican side for Comptroller, the state of Maryland. I encourage everyone to get out and vote. I encourage, if you're a Democrat, to talk to Republican friends. If you're a Republican, talk to Democrat friends. We're trying to bring this country together in the aftermath of January 6th. I'll talk to you about your politics in a minute. I want to talk about state politics a little bit because you have mentioned you need Democrats to vote for you. Wes Moore's out trying to get Republicans, the people that voted for you and Larry to vote for him, right? So there's a lot of mixed messages in all of this. But this state, and you're an old guy like me, you're a couple years older than me. Even though, by the way, this is my last piece of cake at Fadley's today's my birthday, and I appreciate you spending that. Thank you. I appreciate you spending. Apparently, there's fried oysters coming and raw oysters coming during this segment, not just because you're like a political guy, because it's my birthday.
It's your birthday.
It's your birthday. So, this state. As a child, and I used to rib Ted Venetoulis, that my father supported the more right-leaning Democrat, a guy named John Coulihan. I just passed his sign on the way to the Guinness, the Lion of Halethorpe.
Right.
And now that I look back, he was much more like a Republican. He got my parents' custody of me back in the 70s. My father was trying to take me off to Venezuela, right? John Coulihan's name is on every signature of all my adoption papers, everything that ever happened as a boy. So I campaigned against against Venetoulis. I remember it vividly. I was 8 years old. My
Right.
dad took me out with cards, and you don't want to vote for Venetoulis. Ted laughed. He loved that 50 years. They didn't like. We kicked their ass, though, didn't we? It's Ted. So I think of Agnew and then finding money in the walls and what that did to make things anti-Republican to some degree, maybe anti-Nixon, maybe even anti-Wallace at that point in my childhood, right? And then Reagan comes in. Michael J. Fox is on on the television and Family Ties, and this state was so Democratic then during a Republican
Right.
administration in the 80s. And then Ehrlich sat in my studio, promised Sun, Moon, Stars. I campaigned for Ehrlich as a Democrat to get him elected as a Republican twice, right? I have had no problem voting for good Republicans or voting against bad Democrats, which I did with Kathleen Kennedy Townsend, and I'm pleased with that. I was pleased then, but I'm not pleased anymore. The notion that this state got so much more red or purple to get you and Larry Hogan and other Republicans in sort of split areas, but the state was always Democratic. And this last 8 years, where we are now, that the traction for your lane has gotten so extreme on the other side, and you know this, you're there. It's a strange political state. It's because it really. Say what you want about Alabama, but they go one way, and that's what the way.
Right.
Here, it's been fishtailing a little bit,
Yeah.
which opens doors for Heather Mazier in your district, or you at this point to swim against the water to say, plenty of people have voted for a candidate like you. So I don't know how predictive you can be in a place where it's been really hard to predict things over my lifetime.
It is. That's why I said, for me, we've got to get our message out there and talk and meet folks and talk about my experience and the way I've conducted myself for 30 years. We think there's a lane. We know, Mike Miller used to always tell me as president of the Senate, Maryland overall historically is of a middle temperament, no matter what you say. And I know now.
Yeah, my dad voted for Helen Della
Yeah.
Trentley. My dad voted for Matt Mathias. I mean,
Right.
it was always, I voted for Bob Ehrlich. Like, I don't feel like there was an identity to my party in
Right.
that way,
But most historians right now will tell you one of the problems is, and we see it in polling, is the polarization of both parties, the extremes, whether it's
It's four parties.
progressive, whether it's the progressives, the MAGA wing, and then you move towards the middle. But what polling is showing, that number of Republicans and Democrats that are persuadable, those folks that like to look at a candidate and judge and make up their own mind, not necessarily party, those numbers are shrinking. So for me, finding that 16-20% of Democrats that are willing to split a ticket it's harder and harder. It's a rarer species. And it's in both parties. It's rare.
Well, the other thing is you
find it.
didn't run a primary in that sort of way, and the primary was a
Right.
mess for Kelly Schultz,
Yeah,
right?
right.
And a mess for Larry, and a mess for you, even though you win.
I may
What
not have been
happened?
able to win a
What's
primary.
happened, though?
Yeah.
What I mean, I beg of you as a sane Republican
Right.
to tell me why I'm out in Western Maryland and everything, when I would go into places, everything is a gun, a flag, and F. Joe
Yeah.
Biden.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's incredible. And I'm thinking to myself, what did Joe Biden ever do to you? Like, that's an incredible
The extreme-
sentiment that we didn't have
Yeah.
that with Bill Clinton or that with Ronald Reagan or that with
Right.
either of the Bushes. That's what
It's
Donald
just
Trump has
become
done
more
to this.
extreme. It is just more extreme and visible. I think social media plays a role in this. There are a lot of keyboard. I get nasty grams. I'll see the person. They're very nice to me, but behind the keyboard, they write
I've
stuff.
had a guy-
They got stuff you would never write to your
Listen to
worst
me.
enemy.
I got a guy here. Don't give his name. This
Right.
is 607 on my birthday.
Yeah.
You're a Democrat,
Right.
right? It's right here. This guy has been writing to me for 15
Hey, I'm
years.
called a rhino.
15
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
This guy writes to me, and I'm thinking, dude,
Yeah.
you're out of your mind. You
Yeah.
know? Like, I don't even read it.
Yeah.
The subject line is Dear Democrat,
Yeah.
literally.
Yeah, I'm a rhino because I didn't believe the election was stolen. Mike Pence was
Well, the
a
election
traitor.
wasn't stolen.
Right? But I get you wouldn't believe that. That's very.
What do you think when
that's
you see the
sweet
insurrection?
compared to what I
But
stuff
when
I
you,
get.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But when you see
When I
the
saw that
evidence,
that day,
when you see Nancy Pelosi go in East Baltimore
Yeah.
yesterday during the January 6th meeting,
Yeah. Well,
what do you make of that?
I was sad that day. I tweeted that day. I was really shocked that the Secret Service and the U.S. military didn't come in and put that down. To me, it felt like an insurrection that warranted a lot more force than was prepared that day.
It could have been a lot worse.
Right. I think those Capitol policemen, God bless them,
heroes.
Standing up against that, they should have had armed troops there with them. I don't know who was making that call, whether it was planned that way, but
it needs to be investigated.
Should have been much more protection and preparedness for that. That should have never happened. It should have been put down.
That happens in downtown
minutes.
Bel Air. That's no bueno.
Right,
That's
yeah.
not good, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And
so there's no excuse for it. I mean, it's just. But then again, I have to say there are equal offenders. I have progressives that send me messages that, that you would think I was the worst thing walking. And so I think the discourse in general in those two wings really needs to calm it down and start looking and talking about policy, not personalities tearing each other down. And I know it's a tough message to get across, but we've been sticking to that. We're Delegate Learman and I mean, she's probably more progressive. I'm a little bit more conservative on fiscal matters and so forth. But we've tried to have a straightforward campaign on the issues, talk about our records. We don't really need to get into tearing each other down. I'm just never ran a race like that, and in the last 3 weeks, we're not going to do it.
Barry Glassman's here. He is the Harford County Executive. He is running for Comptroller of the state of Maryland. We're going to get back on the screen here. Me pushing me this way like a guy playing defense here. You're running a race tomorrow. You're running the bigger race here, obviously, as ballots come out and where we are and how they're going to get counted. And Dan Cox is fighting this. Right. This has been a week of debates. And so make your case. Tell our audience out there, many of whom have voted for you, right, are considering voting for you again, or in my case, I know you. I know Brooke. I'm trying to think if I've ever voted for either one of you. haven't really had a chance. No, I voted for Brooke because I voted 4 months ago in the primary.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to think. Yeah. So it comes down. I know you both. I'm going to sit and listen to you both. Yeah. She's my guest next week at Gunpowder Lodge, which isn't in Harford County, but it's in the almost Gunpowder right there. Right close. So for you, why? Why you?
Well, I think particularly after the primary, voters need to think about, and the Comptroller's the CFO. It is a nonpartisan fiduciary job. You are the tax collector, but you sit on the Board of Public Works. You're a revenue estimator, and in Harford County, we have turned the county around with digital improvements. I've cut taxes, have a senior and veteran property tax cut for our folks. And when I came into office, we had about a $7 million surplus. Today, when we get ready to close out the books, we'll have about a $35 million surplus. My pension system is fully funded.
You're really proud of that. You talk about your pension a lot.
Yeah, because the Comptroller the Comptroller sits on the pension board, and this is the difference where Delegate Learman and I probably differ. I wouldn't politicize our investments into the pension system. The state's about 75% funded. The county, we're 100%, and our OPEB obligations for health care.
What's OPEB?
OPEB is other than personal benefits, so it's usually health care, all those other things, in addition to your pension, your salary check. We're funded into the out years 100%. State's funded at 3%. And so whether you're a state highway worker or a state worker in any of the other areas,
she's trying to take my food.
Yeah, so you want to make sure that your pension and security for your future is funded, and it doesn't get fooled with over political whims. And so I view this in a very traditional manner, and that's how I would conduct myself. But also, I think when we think about what's going to happen here in November, we have a chance for one-party government in Maryland, and my experience has been one-party government is rarely effective and usually more expensive. And so if voters think they want to send a moderate Republican down to serve in one of those top three offices, I'm the one they should look at. I've got the experience, the temperament, and I would bring some balance to Annapolis.
The rhetoric and where it is and how someone who's me, blue hat, Democrat, it comes out, I say, all right, I'm with Wes. I'm against all the January 6th and screw Trump and all that. I'm going through. How do they get? It's an awareness issue for you,
right?
Not in your own county, but one of the reasons you're here in the city, one of the reasons you've canvassed the state the last couple of months. It really is about awareness to. I mean, controllers. It's not sexy,
right?
It's not loud. It's not. Screw you, no screw you. It's none of that. It's
you're a watchdog for the taxpayers. But what I say is, whether you're a Democrat, Republican, or Independent, we all pay taxes, and the Comptroller is really your representative in Annapolis. The governor, the executive branch, takes care of legislation. You've got the General Assembly, the legislative branch. They've got their job to do. But the Comptroller is the watchdog for Maryland's taxpayers. And you need someone that has a good track record, steady, trusted, and I think I fit the bill for that.
How did Peter Franchot do? I mean, not to be critical, but what's he leaving behind for you or Brooke at this point?
Well, I think one thing is clear after traveling the state, and Brooke and I agree on this actually, we've had so many taxpayers still come up and say, we've called the office, we can't get an answer. I have small businesses that say we're trying to pay our quarterly estimate, or they've paid it and the check hadn't been cashed for 2 months. And so one thing is clear, the digital infrastructure in the Comptroller's office needs to be modernized. The cash handling system, all that needs to be brought
Sounds
up
like Bill
to date.
Henry sat here and talked about in the city.
Yeah.
Like, same thing, right?
It's got to be. We've done it in the county. It's innovative, it's efficient, but it provides better service. And the regional offices need additional staff for senior citizens, older folks that don't necessarily want to do it on the internet, don't want to call. They want to stop in and get an answer, get somebody to help them. So those are two of the areas I think right away. I think Peter's done a pretty good job. For the most part, he stayed out of politics. He got his hands slapped when he did. I mean,
well, then he jumped in 2 feet and it didn't go so well.
Right.
Yeah,
the alcohol thing, they took that away from him. He tried to jump in on school construction. They've sort of taken that away from the Board of Public Works, the Begathon and so forth. So I've learned from that and seen it over the years. That's why I say I'll be a traditional Comptroller and not make it a partisan or political job.
Barry Glassman is here. He's the Harford County Executive. He is running for control of the state of Maryland, Republican side. He is going to be running through the streets of Baltimore, 10K long. And, the fried oysters might not be the best way to game up here. You already had a crab cake. And by the way, this is it's my birthday today. It's the last segment. Damie's here. You want to come over and do some radio? Come on over. Yeah. I'm going to have some crab cake.
Get her in the middle.
I'm going to tell her.
You want me to give her the...
Yeah, I got a room for her.
Okay.
Don't worry about it.
You got it.
No, I've done this before. I'm a professional. So Damie has been here trying to take all my food away, and she brought me lemons so this is a special treat.
You're high maintenance, man.
No, I'm not. I'm just on the air. I got no help. If you could pee for me, I'd have you do it because I don't even have any. I got to do that myself.
I did that when we got here, so
I got to do everything. I'm my own. I'm my own guy. So that's the last bite of my crab cake that you served me about an hour and a half ago. I've been eating it. Admission to make to you, Damie. The tomatoes are something that I should talk about more here. That the tomato goes with the crab cake.
It does.
And I like. Where did your mother come? What are those little tomatoes called?
Well, they're little grape tomatoes,
you cut them in half, and then marinate the heck out of them with some sort of vinaigrette. That's a French word in Bel Air, vinaigrette.
We say vinegar.
What? You got to get on your thing.
We say vinegar.
Yeah, that's the way they do it on the farm up there. So that thing with the crab cake, when people say to me, who's got the best crab cake and all that, I'm like, and I always say this, yours is unique. There's nowhere else that does a mustard style, lightly fried, and then the tomatoes are almost like the tartar or to me.
Right, you don't need a sauce.
I want to have crab and the tomato together. Uh-huh. That just tastes like Maryland love to me. Now, he used to come here all the time. Tell her how you were poor and used to save up to come here and have Faley's crab cakes.
So when I first got out of college, I worked at BG&E at Lexington Street, and we got paid monthly there. So we saved up for payday to walk up and come to Faley's on payday, about 5 of us. And we stayed here the whole hour because we just it was so good we took our time.
Right.
I can remember your mom being there back then. And so
she'll be here in a couple hours.
Yep,
she comes in the afternoon.
Okay. Today felt just so good. The tables are the same. Everything feels good. So it's good to be back here.
Oh, it's good to have you
Yeah.
back.
All right, so I've done, and this is a full admission, Barry. I've eaten oysters my whole life because I grew up in Dundalk. My parents took me to a bull roast back when I was about 8. My dad threw some cocktail on there, and I ate. He who ate his first oyster was a danger walker. So I've been eating my whole life. I love oysters. I've never had like a bad one, maybe once spit out or whatever. So I've never had like a weird experience, and I'm good with all the. But the fried oyster, here's the problem. Anytime there's an oyster at a bull roast, and I've been to 100 of them, right? Mm-hmm. If they're raw. When I'm out somewhere and I'm in the mood for an oyster, or they're on the docket, or I see them on ice, I'm like, all right, give me 6, give me 12, and I'll do them up. And if offered, I will eat it. Fried oyster, so far down the menu of any place. When I'm here, I get a crab cake. Right? So I would never try if I had an oyster, I'd have a regular oyster. Fried oysters are something like I want to say I've never had one in my life until
Really?
about 9 months ago. It was earlier this year.
Oh,
I
She's
made
like,
him eat one.
No, it wasn't making me. She just brought it over to the table. I'm like, the hell is that? I mean, I don't even know what that is. I'm like, it's
It's a beautiful
better not
prime
be liver.
Maryland
Better not be
fried
liver because I
oyster.
won't eat
Yep,
it.
it's breaded corn.
And you dip it in both,
So-
cocktail and the
I'm
tartar.
not doing that tartar.
Oh, my gosh, it's so
I
good
don't want
together.
that tartar. I want
So I went to college in
On my birthday.
Chestertown, and
Okay,
oyster
you can have one.
oyster sandwiches
A
are
po'
on.
boy.
Yeah, we're
That's
on.
right.
God, that's so good.
Isn't it?
So,
Have some of
I'll
those.
try
They're
one.
so good.
Barry, she wasn't real happy that I was going to go have crab cakes everywhere else because, like, you should order them from here, and right? So I go all over the state the last 2 years. I've had crab cakes in your county, in every county, all over the state. 30 crab cakes, 30 days last year. And what happened was, and I had the I said, it was my 30th anniversary on the radio, and I got thirsty. Everywhere I went, I drank beer. And everywhere I went, there was an independent or there was a beer place, and I dreamed up like the beer would go with the crab cakes, and I said, I'm going to go all over the state again. This will give me a chance to go to Cushwa out in Hagerstown. It'll give me a chance to go to Burnish over in Eastern Shore. Give me a chance to go to Evolution in Salisbury with the mayor of Salisbury. So I go all over the state. This year I did 31 crab cakes, different crab cakes, 31 beers, a lot of good beer. It was all that. And what I realized, everywhere I went, they had oysters. And everywhere I went, I wasn't like, I wonder what the fried. I ate the crab cake. I got a salad. Whatever. I was up in, Northeast isn't Europe. Where did I have my crab cake? I'm thinking Hartford County. Where was I?
Conrad's.
I went to Conrad's. You and I
Sorry.
were together.
Right. That's all right.
You and
That's good.
I'm
I
just
like
trying-
them.
So
So
it's right after the
right out of the water.
pandemic.
Tony,
yeah.
Tony, all right. He owes me down the water. So the beer happens and the crab cakes happen. I'm thinking, it's going to be my 32nd year next year. There aren't even 32 days in August. What am I going to do? Once you've done 30 and then the beer, you've gone back, what am I going to do? And I started talking to the Restaurant Association of Maryland and my friend Marshall Weston there. I said, dude, I think I'm going to do oysters next year.
I've been asking you to do oysters for 3 years. I've been asking you
So
to do
she
oysters.
inspired the crab cake tour.
Well, you finally got him eating
She
them, so
inspired
that's
it, literally. Now she's inspired by doing this crazy thing with these crazy oysters.
Yeah.
She's inspired. Next year, I'm going to have oyster stout. Raven, I see you doing an
Yes,
oyster stout.
yes.
And I'm going to go eat oysters all over the state.
Without-
different ways.
Right.
Rockefeller, different
Right.
ways.
Last-
And without the oyster, we don't get crab. We don't get fish.
Teach 'em.
That
Teach 'em.
oyster is what filters the water in the Chesapeake Bay. And the only way our bay is clean is when we have a really good oyster population. So Oyster Recovery Partnership is key. Eating oysters and recycling those shells is, that's the key to our future. We don't get crab unless we have a clean bay. And we're going to have to, eating oysters is what does it. So push the oyster, please. Push
You know
the
the
oyster.
best part of going around the state and pimping the lottery and Window Nation and my sponsors? It's eating all the food and all
my
that.
goodness.
But the best part is I'm almost like a politician. I can portray it as education. I can sell
It
it
is.
as we're going to teach people
Yeah.
something. But what I'm going to do is just eat a lot and have a lot of fun. But I am going to learn a lot. So, for
Very good.
Hartford County, Tony Conrad, he goes out up that way. Bush River, all those places. It's a big part of your county too, right? It's a big part of the state.
Susquehanna River feeds the bay, and Bush River crabs come. We have a lot of crabbing in the Bush River.
Some would say they're the best crabs in the state. Some would
they're
say that.
fat right now.
They are. This is the time of year to get them. This is they're
People
getting
don't
ready to
understand
getting
that.
ready to hibernate, so they're fattening up.
Yeah.
And they're absolutely beautiful. They're full fat and that mustard that you're talking about, that yellow, that's all full in them because they're not going to slough again. They're gonna get ready to hibernate for the next 6 months. So this is always the best time of year to get the greatest crabs.
See, this is how we get the best guests. We
Yeah,
do it this
really,
way. Davey
yep.
Hahn is here. She and her family. Tell him about your place because he loved your crab cakes years ago, back when he was a poor BGE guy coming down here every 2 weeks trying to get a crab cake. But your family's been doing this a long, long time, and you're about business and being a business leader. What I've seen this woman go through in her family the last 5 years, moving this market and opening Catonsville. People ask me about you all the time. How's Damie? When are they getting to Catonsville? When's the new market? So update everybody.
It's a long process, you know that. Especially we bought that building right before COVID hit, so it wasn't the best of
Slow
timing.
things down.
Yeah. So we started here in 1886. So my great grandfather started in the seafood business. We've been in the seafood business ever since. We're in our 6th generation now, and we're excited to keep going. So we're getting ready. We're going to be staying here in our existing market for as long as it takes to get our stall built out next door. We'll be the last stall in, and we'll be taking a space over there in the new Lexington market. And then we're starting on the restoration process of this behemoth of a building out in
She showed me all
Catonsville.
the pictures.
The building was built in 1925.
So State Fair is a sponsor of mine, El Guapo. You are literally in the parking lot.
Next
State
door.
Fair will be your neighbor through the parking lot.
Right,
Oh, okay.
right. So the building was originally built by John Heidelbach as a grocery store. Actually, his 4 sons built it, and beautiful 16-foot ceilings. And the building's 100 years old, and there really was nothing done to it in the past 100 years, other than maybe a roof or two here and
Well,
there.
it never handled food, right? It wasn't that
No,
kind of place.
But every single window needs to be replaced. All the lintels are rusted. All the whole east wall needs to be rebuilt. There is so much restoration that needs to be done on that building to do it right. And we hit it right at the beginning of COVID, and that wasn't the time to do a historical renovation. So getting through the historic trust, getting through all the loopholes in the county, getting through everything has been very difficult over the past 3 years, and trying to keep this place running and figure out what we're going to do next
Sounds
door.
great to me. I'll go to Catonsville, get a Fraley's crab cake. Haven't been easy for you.
No,
To get it to- How's your family? How's your dad? How's mom?
Everybody's doing great. Mom and Dad are 86 and 90, still going strong,
So her
still working
pops
every
had a
day.
birthday earlier this summer, and we got the invite to go over to Catonsville and participate. Look at her smile. Look at her.
Yeah.
It was fun.
It was
Can't
one of the
help but
great days of
smile.
his life. He
Yeah.
had so much. He was emotional.
He was.
Her dad's
90
tough.
years.
Her dad's
you know?
a tough veteran, Kansas guy out in the Midwest. Came
Yeah.
here, married a Baltimore girl, and he winds up at a fish market down
Right,
in Kansas.
right. He was the aide to Arleigh Burke. You know,
my
he was in the Navy, a naval officer. And meets
Never
my
thought
mom.
I'd be a fishmonger.
No, never thought he did.
And you're the
What?
fishmonger's daughter.
I am the fishmonger's
Tell
daughter.
me about that name and that brand a little bit.
So that's going to be our brand extension. The new restaurant in Catonsville will be called the Fishmonger's Daughter. It's a Fadley's restaurant.
Featuring
but-
Fadley's crab cake.
Yes, featuring Fadley's crab cake. But we'll go beyond. We'll do everything that Maryland's known for. So,
Including these right here,
we're
fried
excited.
oysters. Yeah,
Yeah.
get you some. Get you some.
yeah.
Get you
Oh,
some.
look, see, we're getting
Here, would you
pictures
like
here.
one? Have one. I'm generous. Take
They're
one.
so
Take one.
good.
Take one.
They're
Put your
good.
sauce on there. There you go.
Yeah,
there
yeah,
you go.
they're good double
There you
dipped.
go. Double dip. There you
I've been
go. All
double
right.
dipping.
So,
They're
but
good.
yeah, so we're gonna feature a lot, and we're gonna have a beautiful event space on the second floor. It's about 5,000 square feet, and we're gonna have an outdoor deck. We're gonna move our shipping up there, and it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. You know, it's a lot to get there, but you know, we're working every day, and
All right.
hopefully sooner rather than later.
I want to
but
be there opening day. By
You
the
will.
way,
You
when
will.
when is the last day for this? You're going to be sad leaving here. You know you're ready.
We will be, because this has a lot of history, and we will not move out of here until we move in there. I mean, we will keep this open.
There won't be a day
until
you're not open.
we
A
will,
weekend.
there will not be a day we're not open.
Okay.
We're not doing that.
Right.
Everybody's going to
Not
stay
saying
employed.
no to a customer.
Yes, we're not turning anybody away. Everybody's going to stay
The
employed.
tables go.
The tables actually go over,
Very good.
but that'll be they can be moved over in a few minutes.
Yeah.
So the tables will go over, or a lot of the signs are going to go over. So
good.
we're repeating,
gonna feel like
remaking
this.
a lot of.
It's good for old timers to
In
see
fact,
that.
we're trying to get a 180 full wrap on one of the walls of this, so that when you come in, you see this.
That'll be beautiful.
so that you
I
don't
like that.
forget
That's
what
sexy.
this is or what this was.
Well, I mean, we're at Fadley's. We're at Lexington Market. It's world famous. The incredible sign back on the wall. Come on down on the Packer Street side. You can still enter. You can still eat. You can still order online. I have to get you out of here. You got a race to run. He's doing Purple Friday. Barry Glassman, Hartford County Executive, running for Comptroller. Consider him. Brooke Learman, his opponent, will be joining us next week at are you on 3? I think you're on 3, yeah. Next week at Gunpowder Lodge and oysters. Last thing I need for my birthday. Get out of here. I'm gonna finish up with her.
You too.
This is why I don't hug politicians, because they hug everybody. I know I can't have at that. Last thing I need for my birthday, it's very, very important. I need a beer. I need a Raven Oyster Stout over here. That's gonna wrap things up for me. But thanks for hosting me on my birthday. And
you're welcome.
We've had
Happy
such
birthday.
great guests. We began the day with Odette Ramos, Councilwoman, as well as Felicia Porter. I've been trying to get the two of them separately for like a year, and we've misconnected. They've been apologizing to me. I did it in the middle of meetings. Last time I was here, they're both like, dude, we're at City Hall. And I'm like, all right. So they both come today, and then Tom Cole came and did a great job. And then, of course, I got fried oysters. I haven't even had a raw oyster
You got to
yet.
have one of these. These are beautiful.
Right,
these are wild.
What are these? Where are these from? They all have names.
These are actually from the Harris River. They're wild.
Where's Harris River? I've never heard of that.
It's right about center, a little bit below center. And it's probably one of the cleanest rivers in the Chesapeake right now.
Cleanest rivers?
Because they have so many wonderful oyster beds, and they've been ORP has been really wonderful about replenishing all those beds. Aren't they delicious? They are so good. Some people are intimidated
sauce
by
has
those
a little
big
something
ones.
special in there. What's in there? It's got a little fire roasted something. I don't know what that is.
That is that really good fresh ground horseradish.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
It tastes different.
So good.
It doesn't taste. It tastes fresh.
It does. It does.
I'm not used to that.
Tolkoff is here in town, and we get that fresh ground horseradish. You take the lid off, and your hair curls.
By the way, you know who I invited today for my birthday? Ginger from J.O. Spice.
Yeah.
She couldn't make it. She sends her love to you, but she's another one. I've met her on the internet, but I've never met her. And she was supposed to come out day 1 of the tour at Conrad, your friends up right by my radio station in Towson.
Right.
She couldn't make it, so I'm still trying. Well, next time I'm
She's
here in a month
awesome.
or two, we're going to get her here.
Oh, yeah, please.
Well, you and I will
see
get
Ginger
together for the
again.
holidays around Thanksgiving. Tell me how to order, because I've had that experience. Brian Billick, friends of mine have many times have ordered crab cakes from you. It's a click. It's so easy to do, right?
It is very easy to do. We have Fadley'sCrabCakes.com. We also ship through Goldbelly, which is one of our third-party partners. But we do something different here. We literally make to order. Nothing's put in a freezer. They are made fresh and shipped the day we make them.
Well, if you put them in a freezer, people would hate them. They wouldn't be as good.
No, a lot of people they're frozen. A lot of people it is
but
frozen.
Not yours. They wouldn't be as good.
No, we don't
There's
freeze.
no way it would be as good.
We make them. Well, people will. The thing we want is we want people to be able to enjoy them fresh. But if they want to freeze one, they don't have to worry. They don't have to refreeze.
Okay, but I wouldn't recommend that.
It's fresh frozen.
I mean, I love you. You spend a lot of money. Eat it.
Exactly.
If you're having a party on Friday, get stuff on the internet Monday or Tuesday, order it down, tell you when you want it, right? And Friday night, it comes Friday morning, you'll think you're in Lexington Market.
Yes.
You
pick a delivery day. We fresh make it. Like if you want it for the weekend, ship it on Thursday. You get it on Friday. You can enjoy it Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. And we ship all over the country. And it's next day air delivery, and we ship our soups. We ship these oysters fresh shucked, and you can fry them yourself at home. We're coming out with a new product. We're joining up with Tillman Island Oyster Company, and we're doing these breaded fried oysters. Now they will be frozen, but we'll ship them frozen in dry ice, and get them to you ready to cook. So that's one of our new products.
So that's going to keep better than the crab for me. For me, I would be. If you said, "Would you eat a frozen crab cake first or a frozen oyster?" I would eat an oyster.
Right.
I would.
Right.
And I'm sure it'd be delicious.
Yeah. So we have all kinds of things on our website, or, especially for the holidays: crab balls, crab dip, the fried oysters, and so we're excited about another good season, good holiday season.
Damie's like the big sister, always trying to educate me. Like she comes on, is like, oysters. You're going to love that I'm doing oysters next summer because I'm going everywhere.
I am so happy. Yeah, and you're going to do it in the summer and not in the fall?
I don't know. I haven't thought about it. Now that the Ravens have thrown me out, maybe I have fall time.
Okay, so here's the thing.
When should I do it? October?
You should do it either in the spring or in the fall, not in the summer. Our wild oysters go into a reproductive cycle in the summer.
Okay.
So you really want to do your oyster tour either in the spring or in the fall.
Define spring. April, May, or March?
March, April, May. by May you should be done. March, April's great. Or then you do it in right here, October, November.
November.
It's an awesome time to do the oysters.
Well, all the festivals are in October, right? When you have an oyster festival, that
Absolutely. That's when you would have one. That's when you would have an oyster roast, because that's when the season starts. The season really starts in September, but
I'm
you
not
can
a
go all the
fisherman.
way.
I don't know this stuff. I'm just a guy from East Baltimore, loving the Orioles and the Ravens,
Okay.
and the Colts and the Terps.
Well,
All
the
right.
oyster season is more winter, so I would pick that up in the fall.
I'm going to have one more fried oyster for the road. I'm going to grab a beverage. By the way, I
get you a
forgot, and this is silly, but you haven't brought me these cucumbers in a long, long time.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot how good these like, you tried to take these away from me, and I'm like grabbing, Glassman's talking about running for office.
All of our salads, all of our soups, we make them here. We make them fresh, so you're getting that fresh cucumber flavor. It's wonderful. They're delicious.
I'm as happy as I've ever been on my birthday. So.
Good. Well, you got the right cake. You got the Fadley's crab
It's only
cake.
lunchtime, man. We come here early. All right.
Actually, I should have put a candle in it. Is what I should have done.
Maryland Lottery
right.
ticket for Jamie. Scratch off. It's a Raven scratch off. Take that. We're going to be giving them out to the staff and the folks here at Lexington Market. I needed a beer. Where's my?
I'm going to get you a
Give me
beer.
beer.
I'm getting your beer. Hold
I
on.
got
I'm
water. I
getting
got to
it.
take a break.
I'm getting
She's
it.
going to get me a beer. All right. She's getting a beer. While she's getting a beer, I'm going to tell you about Goodwill and our friends at Window Nation supporting us. Our friends at Wise Markets and Royal Farms. I had a little Justin Tucker thing today. Big appreciation to everybody out there who has supported the Maryland Crab Cake Tour, including our friends at the Maryland Lottery, Goodwill, and Window Nation, where we'll be back at it again next week. We'll be at Gunpowder Lodge with my boy Danny Santoro, talking some soccer, talking some bars, foods, good stuff, and JR as well, his pal, and my pal for a long, long time from Woody's and back in the day. Ooh, I got it. You know what? Happy birthday to me. Now, I'm going to say that right now. Let's see if I get a beer mustache. Fried oysters, raw oysters, Fadley's crab cake, those little tomatoes that were delicious. Thank you very much. I'm not hugging you, you're hugging politicians. I am Nestor. We are WNST AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore. We never stop talking Baltimore positive.